this sounds. I bought these teeth. I bought these bloody fangs. But what I failed to consider is that I don't have canine teeth. So I don't have teeth big enough to clip these two. You know, unless I want to do like a Nosferatu. But I don't think... probably too hard to speak. There's no way I'm going to be able to speak through that. Yeah, I know I'm not a very spooky person. I don't know what I thought was going to give it away first. Maybe just the fact that this is very clearly apple and blackcurrant juice. Maybe it's the fact that that's my bed and it looks really cozy. With my like flannelette sheets with llamas. Oh yeah. Most likely it was going to be my personality. But look, I tried to have some set dressing. I have a skeleton. Yeah, it's just a skeleton. He lives on my desk. It's kind of got rickets. His arms and legs. I don't think that's oh, that's my inhaler. Because what could be spookier than my gradually disintegrating body and the inevitability of death? Blah! You know, over the years I've tried getting all sorts of like desk organization things. Like I got little drawers and caddies and like drawer organizing boxes. Turns out, all I needed was a skeleton. His name is Llewellyn the Bone Homie, and don't worry, I do intend to buy him a series of jaunty hats. So what am I even here to do? You ever put a movie on not really because you want to watch it, more because you think it'll be good to have on in the background while you're doing something else, but then you just get so caught up in watching the movie and you're like, oh, this slaps, hey. Well, let me tell you about Van Helsing. Van Helsing is a 2004 supernatural action horror film that reimagines the character from Bram Stoker's Dracula into a huge, jacked man. It was directed by Stephen Sommers, whom I would like to know as little about as possible. If his page on Letterboxd is anything to go by, his work kicked off puberty for a good chunk of 90s kids. So like right away, as soon as this movie starts, we have a sequence that just tells you what this movie is about. Not the plot of the movie, what it's about. And it's about just doing weird shit and having fun with it. Oh, I thought this movie was a Dracula, but it turns out there's a Frankenstein? Sure. Why not?
Success!
It's 2004, baby. We're doing what we want. So Dracula's nefarious... So we get introduced to Dracula's nefarious plan, which is... fucking shit. That was my cat taking a very liquid shit. So at this point we're introduced to Dracula's nefarious plan, which is adequate funding for the sciences.
Oh no, Victor. The time has come for me to take command of him.
What are you saying?
Why do you think I brought you here? Give you this castle, equip your laboratory.
You said you believed in my work.
You see, for reasons we will get into later, Dracula needs Frankenstein to be able to do his Frankensteining. So we've established a few things. We've established it's Dracula times. They're don't really care for established canon of any of these books, and that Dracula is just so extra.
You can't kill me, Victor.
I'm already dead.
So now that we've established that, we go on to meet Van Helsing, who is in the middle of capturing Mr. Hyde, and by extension, Dr. Jekyll. On the subject of Jekyll and Hyde, they seem to be doing a thing that a lot of adaptations do, where they have, like, Dr. Jekyll has, like, an upper-class fancy lad accent, while Mr. Hyde has a Cockney accent, to demonstrate that he's the villain because he's poor.
We all have our little problems.
Like, a lot of this comes directly from the original novel, where Dr. Jekyll is the, he's the upper class, he's the good doctor, he's everything that the Victorian gentleman ought to be, whereas Mr. Hyde is all of his repressed horniness. A lot of adaptations continue this, including the depiction in the Tom Cruise Mummy movie, every frame of which is seared into my working memory for reasons I will never understand. All of this is to say that if you're going to do a Jekyll and Hyde, consider the following. Dr. Jekyll is a marine biology himbo and Mr. Hyde is an investment banker. So you can use that, you can just have have that idea, I would love to work on it with you. If we can't make that work, I'll just take a story by credit. Also, for some reason in this movie, it's Gabriel Van Helsing, whereas in the book it was Abraham Van Helsing. I cannot figure out why on earth that is the case, because they very much seem to be the same character. My guess is that the studio just kind of thought that Gabriel is sexier than Abraham. So let me know what you think. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know who's sexier, Abraham Van Helsing or Gabriel Van Helsing. We go back to the headquarters of the very secret but very well funded secret organization, don't think too hard about it, and we have one of those sequences that's exactly like when James Bond gets all of his gear from Q.
Rings of garlic, holy water, silver steak, crucifix.
Except it's in one of those fun movies where he gets like a toaster full of knives, and not like one of those modern ones where Q's like, check this shit out, it's a gun. And he has that super smug like, what were you expecting? An exploding pen? And it's like, yes, I was expecting an exploding pen actually. Where's my exploding pen? We also get to meet the offsider slash comic relief. His name is Carl. He is a friar of the Holy Order, and he's a friar so that he can fuck. That's it. That's the only thing. If they hadn't made that a thing, if they hadn't made him like the friar who fucks, I would not have thought about the fact that he is one of two characters in this movie who has a sex life. Every time I move, he wobbles. Because we're still in the part of the movie where you get introduced to characters, we get introduced to Anna and her brother, who I'm sure also has a name. Their whole thing is that they fight Dracula, but they've run out of normal ways to fight Dracula, so they're weird. They're just doing weird shit now. They're getting weird with it, and you know what? More movies should get weird with it. So Kate Beckinsale wears your pretty standard early 2000s monster fighting outfit, which I'm sure is very practical to wear and fight in. People keep trying to hold her back, but she's like, no, can't you see I'm wearing my ass-kicking outfit? Now humour me through this brief digression, because I swear I am going somewhere. See, when I was little, my parents didn't raise me with any kind of religion, so all religious language just was absent in my household. Except, when my cat died, you better believe she went to kitty heaven. So the concept of life after death is one of those very comforting things that we often pull out of religion, even if we don't pull the rest of it. We the living just don't have proof that anything happens to our consciousness after we die, but Anna does. You see, one of Anna's ancestors made a deal with God that his entire family would go to hell until someone killed Dracula. So Anna knows that her whole family is in hell. And like, I just don't think anyone else's problems are even that important now that we know this. Like, okay, cool, so Van Helsing, you've lost all of your memories, you don't know anything about your past, and you're not even sure if you want to know. Cool. Anna's family is in hell, and she's going there too. Oh, the friar who fucks. You're having doubts about your bravery and you don't know if your faith will carry you through. Anna's family is in hell, and she's going there too. Oh, hey, village dude, you have to maintain this facade that it's actually good that sometimes Dracula kills random villagers and everything's okay, because you know that the only alternative is killing Dracula and you don't know if you can do that. Funny you should mention, Anna's family is in hell, and that's where she's going, unless she kills Dracula. Speaking of Dracula, I really like the characterization of like Dracula's goals and motivations in this movie. You see, you find out that what he actually wanted out of Frankenstein was the formula to create life out of death so that he could have children. He and his wives have a bunch of just gross eggs suspended in a cave, and they want to bring them to life and be parents. You know, it's not like he wants to rule the world or like just expand an evil empire for no reason other than he's Dracula. He wants to be a dad. And that's so relatable.
You ever see these things before?
No. What do you think they are?
Offspring.
What?
A man with 3 gorgeous women for 400 years.
Yes. Vampires are the walking dead. It only makes sense that children are born dead.
He's obviously trying to bring them to life.
I think a lot of the time when there's a plot in a movie or a TV show or something where a character is trying to conceive, the writers don't do a lot to get you on board with their plan because they just kind of assume that whoever's watching will also want their own biological children, so they just don't do anything to bridge the gap between the character's plan and the audience's understanding that that's what they want. You know, obviously there are exceptions, but a really obvious example is How I Met Your Mother, where the writers go to huge lengths to justify Robin not wanting children in a way that they don't for any of the characters who do want children. Like, they have to jump through massive hoops because every time Robin not wanting to be a parent is brought up, it becomes a source of conflict. And they have to do these massive justifications to make her likable in the face of that. But when there's a whole season of Lily trying to conceive, you just understand, oh, of course she wants a baby. Like, it's just what she wants. Whereas in Van Helsing, the writers just sort of instinctively do more to bridge that gap, probably because they're monsters. Like, they're literal monsters, but what they want is just so human and personal. It's also possible that as a queer person who's grown up watching a lot of depictions of queer-coded villains, I have this, like, just natural draw to monsters. Like, I'm always sympathizing with them, so, like, of course I want this monster throuple to succeed in becoming parents, creating their non-traditional family of the night. That's right, it's queer theory time, baby! I'm kidding, I'm stopping the queer reading here. I don't think it's gonna go that far, because you see, Dracula and his wives are vampires in the cool way, but they're also vampires in a much more literal way, in that they are rich people literally sucking the life out of the working class to sustain their decadent lifestyle. Like, not only are the vampires rich people draining the life out of the working class to sustain themselves, but you have, like, the mayor of the town saying, actually, it's fine that that happens. It's chill. They only take a couple of villages every now and then.
But isn't that a good thing?
Vampires only kill what they need to survive. 1 or 2 people a month. Now, they will kill for revenge.
And here we have a perfect metaphor for the middle class throwing the working class under the bus for the benefit of rich people. The performances in this movie are pretty good, honestly, overall. Everyone is doing their best. They're doing a great job. It's that period of Hugh Jackman's career where he's just off the X-Men's, and, like, the studios are just really excited to, like, have a huge buff dude for their action movies. And it's like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna be the next action star, we're gonna put him in everything, but it's so clear that he just wants to sing and dance. Like, that's what's in his heart. Just let him dance. He's got a song in his heart, and he wants to sing it, but instead he is this.
Whoa, when my baby smiles at me, I go to Rio de Janeiro, Miami, yo. I go out and then I have to do the samba and la bamba. Now I'm not the type of person with a passion for dancing.
There is no singing for Wolverine. And speaking of performances, we have just Richard Roxburgh has just the most as Dracula. He is putting everything into this. He is chewing the scenery. Oh my god, incredible. Doing so good.
Do not worry.
I shall find another bride.
What?
Do we mean so little to you?
Have you no heart?
No! I have no heart! I feel no love! Nor fear! Nor joy! Nor sorrow! I am hollow.
And for some reason this is a version of Dracula who will just stand on whatever surface he wants. Gravity doesn't work for him the same, he's fine. I do want to know what percentage of the effects budget went into rotating Richard Roxburgh. There is a moment in this film that I think encapsulates everything that it's doing and everything that it's doing at its best. So Anna moves to attack Van Helsing and she picks up a cane to hit him with, but the handle of the cane is a little hand holding a stake. So she could have picked up a heavy object with which to bludgeon him. She could have picked up a sharp object with which to stab him, but she did both. It's the fact that she did both. This movie is doing everything. It's like, why would I do one thing when I could do 10 things and do them the most? Normally I'm very skeptical when a movie tries to do more than one thing at once because it tries to kind of half-ass both of those things when it could put its whole ass into something. But this movie puts its whole ass into like 10 things at once. At any given moment, its entire ass is in 10. So eventually everything from the setup is brought back in when they crash through the ceiling of the Frankenstein's monster. They have this conversation.
Oh my god. The Frankenstein monster!
Monster! Who's the monster here? I have done nothing wrong, and yet you and your kind all wish me dead!
What do you want?
To exist.
And at this point I'm wondering, is it too late to bring the queer reading back? But no, I've already jettisoned that one. So now it's time for Van Helsing to have an existential crisis. Back at the start of the movie when Anna and her brother were doing weird shit to fight Dracula, her brother got bitten by a werewolf. It made perfect sense. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't think too hard. But then Van Helsing encountered Anna's brother and he got bitten, so now he's a werewolf too. So now Van Helsing has to come to terms with the humanity of monsters and the monstrousness of humanity. At the start of the film, it's established that Van Helsing is too willing to kill. So he believes that as soon as someone gets some magic on them, that's it. They're not a human anymore, they deserve to die. He was sent to bring in Mr. Hyde alive because the society he works for wanted to bring back Dr. Jekyll, but Van Helsing has absolutely no reservations about just throwing Hyde off a building. When Anna's brother is first turned into a werewolf, Van Helsing spends some time trying to convince her that he's not her brother anymore, he's not even a person, he deserves to die. But now that he's a werewolf, he has to come to terms with the fact that he's been showing no mercy at all to creatures who were, effectively, just like him. He knows that the people he worked for are going to hunt him down and kill him. They're going to show him exactly as much mercy as he's been showing. And this isn't even subtext, it's a conversation they have.
He has been bitten by a werewolf. Now you will become that which you have hunted so passionately. May others be as passionate in their hunting of you.
So in a very delightful piece of world building, Dracula has been using werewolves as like grunt work and security, but as insurance, he has a single dose of the cure for lycanthropy and he keeps it in the weirdest possible place.
Go ahead. Grab it.
You go ahead and grab it. There's one thing I've learned, it's never to be the first one to stick your hand in a viscous material.
And hey, good life advice. So and then there's a whole fight and it's fun to watch.
Go and help Van Helsing!
And Dracula gets killed and the movie ends. Anna gets to go to heaven. And that seals off her arc quite nicely. That's fun. But they were very clearly trying to make this a series, so I'm kind of disappointed that Anna was killed off in the first movie. So that's Van Helsing. I loved it for some reason. I hope I've communicated to you that you should at least give it a go. Maybe you'll love it as much as I did. I don't know. give it a shot. If nothing else, what I really, really want to get across is that this movie does everything, and it does it at 110%. It's really not shy about how much it's doing, and no one's winking at the camera and saying, I know this is weird. They're just getting on with their very weird day, and that rules. There's a sincerity to it. There is an audacity to it. It knows what it's doing. It knows, and it knows how to do it. Knows what it's doing. Knows how to do it. It's got Richard Roxburgh doing this. It's a lot, and it's a lot at once, and I appreciate it. I really do appreciate how weird it is. I like when movies do weird shit. It's completely straight-faced. It is what it is, and it knows what it is. Cool. That's it. It is what it is, and it knows what it is, and I don't know how else to put it. So that was Van Helsing. I loved it. It was a mess. 10 out of 10. It was ridiculous. Nothing made sense. I'm on board with it. There's vampires. There's werewolves. There's a Frankenstein. Maybe even a creature of the Black Lagoon. There isn't. I hope I've convinced some of you to give it a go. I hope I've reminded some of you why you love it already. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Thank you to Paul for buying me this ring light. Thank you to my gran and Sheila for sending me birthday money, which I put towards this camera. Thank you to my Patreon patrons. My credits are still looking like this, by the way. That's really fun. So yeah, do all the YouTube things. I have Patreon. I'm on social medias. Go forth. Like and subscribe. Don't put your hands in any viscous fluids. Say hi to your pets for me. And I will see you next time.